On community engagement, what can we do to build a relationship between the police and community? Because most of the times, police and community interact is when something goes wrong, and just want to know how can we stop that, and instead of reacting, act. For
Yeah, no, I mean we do a lot of work to avoid being in that position actually, and the last thing we ever want to be doing is trying to build relationships with the community when something's gone wrong. Because that's just it's not going to be effective. You need to be building those relationships long before that, and building them over time. And I think we're pretty good at that now. We don't always get it right, and we do try to interact with the public, and the public don't always want to interact with us, maybe because they don't feel the need to, or they don't want to, or there is that element of mistrust there, and that's where we've got to proactively go down and try and break down those barriers. And I think it goes right the way across all of the work we do. It should start in schools. I've got a very good schools officer here who needs to be getting into the schools and breaking down some of those barriers. It's around our neighbourhood policing and how we're engaging with various community forums, how we're engaging just with the public when we're out and about, walking about. It's about how we proactively try and build those relationships with some of our more hard to reach communities. And some communities, if it can be harder to reach than others because they, their experience of policing where they were from may be very different to how we operate here. So they absolutely don't trust the police. They don't want to interact with the police. Whereas we try and break down those barriers and say, we want to talk to you. We need to understand, what the community needs are, so that we can police those in the most effective way. Does that make sense?
It does.
Because our community is very diverse. It is very diverse in Oxford. People's expectations of policing is very different. How they react to policing is very different. So it's actually quite complex for us. And we a key strand of all our work is community engagement. Understanding that our different communities, understanding what their needs are, and how we can police them, or provide them a policing service in the most effective way that they want. And that is so all of those kind of things we need to be constantly doing, and we'd always welcome more community engagement and interaction. More community groups, individuals that want to support policing and break down those barriers, because sometimes those people can be difficult to not deal with, but difficult to find. It's so it is really, it's about the grassroots stuff of just communicating in the right way, understanding our communities, building trust, and so that they know when they have got a problem, they can come to us, and we'll do something about it, and they'll understand actually, okay, we might not quite got that right, but actually that was, that was a one-off, or it's also about understanding why we do certain things. So, for a lot of young people, for example, if they're, stop searched, that can be a very, bad situation for them, and actually what we should be doing is communicating with young people on a more ongoing basis, so they understand why we do stop search, what our powers are, the reasons we're doing it, and usually that is to protect the wider public. It could have been that usually there's been a crime issue in a certain area, and the person just happens to be in that crime area in that time of day, maybe acting a bit suspiciously, so the officers use their stop and search powers. I don't think we're always great at communicating that on the street, because sometimes those situations aren't always the best situations, and actually we could do a lot of that work outside of that interaction, where we are engaging the young people, telling them why we do stop search, so that when, on the chance that it does end up in that interaction, they're a lot more ginned up on why we're doing it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the long and short of it is, community engagement both ways is really key, and it's not just about, as I said, the police. The police, we are constantly reaching out to the community, but we also need the community to reach out to us.
It's true.
So it's a two-way thing, and since our theme is young people and the police, we have got some opportunities there to improve what we're doing.